Good day. Welcome to week 2 of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Daniel chapter 3. If you missed last week, don't worry. We're going to do a bit of a review before we catch up later in the story. So let's begin our catch-up time. Our story begins in the year 597 BC, and the unthinkable has happened. Jerusalem has come under siege by Babylon. A foreign nation has completely conquered them. Their promised land, it's gone. The temple that housed the Lord, it's been looted. Their best and brightest, to the tune of 10,000 people, have been carried off to a foreign land. This was their professionals, their priests, their craftsmen, the wealthy. I bet there's been a time in your life where it's felt like you've been left to wander in a foreign land. You look around and you say, where am I right now? Where am I going? And where is God? And the question we're going to ask today is, where is God when it feels like we can't feel him? Where is God when I can't sense him? It begins to feel like God is a part of a big game of hide and seek. I absolutely hate playing hide and seek with my wife. And the reason that I hate it is because I lose every single time. I never win, and I absolutely love winning. Years ago, she said, Jack, we've got some free time. Do you want to play a game of hide and seek? And I said, absolutely not. You always destroy me. I don't want to play with you. And she said, we can play in the living room. And our first living room that we ever had was an incredibly small room. I could reach my arms out from side to side and touch both walls. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to crush her. This is going to be my time to rise. I'm going to get victory, and I'm going to rub it in her face. I feel like we do this with God. We say, God, I'm going to start looking for you right now. I'm going to find you where you're hiding. We look for him at church, but when we're there, it feels like we don't feel him. When we lose someone close, we say, you know what? I'm going to find God in my tragedy. He's going to meet me right where I am, and I'm going to know that he's here and he's present. And when the moment comes, we still don't see our God. And then we're surprised at the moments that he does show up. Let's get back to the story. The book of Daniel showcases 4 men, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And they're in this unknown land. And this unknown land is trying to reprogram them, trying to strip them of their culture and of their God and create them to become good Babylonians. But these men, they commit to the small things, and they're elevated to positions of authority. King Nebuchadnezzar, looking to cement his role and his authority, builds a 90-foot tall golden statue of himself out in the plains. And he commands everyone that they are supposed to come out and worship this statue to cement his rule. Let's pick up in the story in Daniel chapter 3, beginning in verse 16. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If this be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. They say, our God is able. There's absolutely no hesitation from Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They've sought God, and when the furnace raged, they knew exactly where their God was. They knew his power. They knew his presence. And they understood the Lord's faithfulness, that even when times are the toughest, God is present. And over and over and over again, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego showed deep devotion and faithfulness when times were tough. Daniel 3:19 through 23. Then Nebuchadnezzar was filled with fury, and the expression of his face changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He ordered the furnace heated 7 times more than it was usually heated. And he ordered some of the mighty men of his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their cloaks, their tunics, their hats, and their other garments, and they were thrown into the burning fiery furnace. Because the king's order was urgent and the furnace overheated, The flame of the fire killed those men who took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell bound into the burning fiery furnace. Let's talk a little bit about where faithfulness has led Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were faithful in the small things. Let's see where it takes them. It led them from their homeland to this new country that they did not know. It led them to positions of great authority and wealth. It led them to right in front of the king. And their faithfulness has led them to a fiery furnace and a very public execution. Make no mistake about it, their faithfulness did not save them from the furnace. And what had to be one of the most terrifying moments of their lives, they are bound up in front of all of these people. They are led to this furnace that has already been heated up 7 times its normal temperature. All the while, their accusers are cheering, excited that these men are going to get the justice that they deserved. To me, this feels unjust, and I begin to question, where are the 9,996 other Israelites that have been exiled with these men? Why aren't they saying something at the face of this injustice? Why are they sitting back and allowing this to happen? Maybe they looked at the ramifications of speaking, that if I say something, it's going to land me in hot water, and it's not worth it for me to go through this. Or maybe Babylon already had them bending their knee to their new god, the state. Maybe they were complicit, and they said they wouldn't have been thrown into the fire if they would have just complied to what the king told them to do. They probably deserved it. Maybe they said, this isn't my fight, and I should remain quiet. You see, faithfulness to God is rare because it challenges our allegiances to everything else, from our hopes and dreams to our politics. You cannot serve 2 masters. Jesus famously said this in Matthew 6:24. No one can serve 2 masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. Jesus faithfully followed the will of God the Father over the will of culture and state. And in front of both of those, he was crucified as they cheered on. Church, you see, faithfulness is rare. If you pick up your cross, it's going to lead to a furnace. But church, there is nothing more beautiful than the cross. You can put your faith in your own hands, but they will fail you. You can put your faith in a politician, but they will betray you. But that cross, though heavy, will always lead you to God. Daniel chapter 3, verse 24. Then King Nebuchadnezzar was astonished and rose up in haste. He declared to his counselors, did we not cast 3 men bound into the fire? They answered and said to the king, true, O king. He answered and said, but I see 4 men unbound, walking in the midst of the fire, and they are not hurt, and the appearance of the 4th is like a son of the gods. As I mentioned last week, this story, you've probably heard this around 1 million times if you've grown up in the church. Even if you've only been in the church for the last few months, you've probably at least heard it 11 times. As a teacher, I've given this story to children countless times. I've told it to the youth group, and I've told it in adult settings. And the most mind-blowing moment always happens in verse 25. If you've taught this lesson before, you know that this is that rabbit in the hat moment. If it's a children's lesson, you know that right after you reveal to the children that there's 4 people that are seen in the fire, and one of them is God, the whole place erupts. And you're going to be following your story with a coloring sheet that has 4 men in a fire that they can color. You see, I love it when kids are astonished by the presence of God. It's one of my favorite moments in life when you can say, look how wonderful God is. That in our darkest and hardest times, he's present, he's there when we need him the most. And I love seeing that look on children's face, knowing that one day when life gets difficult, they're going to know that right by their side is the God that they faithfully followed. But I'm troubled when adults are astonished and amazed when God is present in our darkest times. Why do we think that when we stand for God that we are going to stand alone? Why are we surprised by the fourth man? So every single game of hide and seek with my wife ends the exact same way. I'm convinced that she's either cheating or that she's literally disappeared. I'm not even joking. We had this moment once where I looked everywhere and I was convinced that she had literally disappeared, that she had vanished. And it gets to this point where I say, you know what, I give up. There's no way that she's in this house. The game is over. And then she triumphantly pops out and then rubs it in my face for 2 months. So we're in our first home, and I'm reluctantly playing this game of hide and seek. I'm thinking, man, this is just the living room. I'm definitely going to find her. And I've looked absolutely everywhere. I've looked under the couch about 11 times. I've looked behind bookshelves. She's nowhere to be found in this one single room. And I eventually get to this point where I say, you know what? The game is over. I give up again. And I noticed that a suitcase falls over. And she unzipped it and she climbed out. Church, here's the part of the message that I want you to engage with. The most important part, the thing that I want you to hear if you haven't heard anything else. God is not some impersonal force that is 10 million miles away. He didn't come, create earth, and then leave. God is right here, right now. And he's with you in the furnace. You see, you cannot measure God's presence by your emotions and your feelings. You may not see him when you're in the darkest place, but God is there. I always find it intriguing in our story that the only person mentioned that is able to visually see that fourth person in the furnace is the biggest villain of the story, King Nebuchadnezzar. And I always wonder, when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are in this furnace and they notice that they have not been burned up. And I'm sure that they're reflecting on, our God was able and now he has saved us, but could they visually see God with them? To be honest with you, I don't think it matters to them if they could see God, because they had been constantly walking with him. They had seen his faithfulness every single day, even when they couldn't visually see him. They knew that their God was all-powerful and all-present. Stop playing hide and seek with God. You see, our God is not hiding in a hymnal. He's not hiding between stained glass windows. He's behind, before, and beside you, even when it feels like he's millions of miles away.
The Savior say, thy strength indeed is small. Child of weakness, watch and pray. Find in me thine all in all. Lord, now indeed I find thy power and thine alone can change the leper's spots and melt my heart of stone. As Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. And when before the throne I stand in him complete, Jesus died my soul to save. My lips shall still repeat that Jesus Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. Praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised his life up from the dead. Cause Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow.
Thanks for engaging with us today. It's been exciting to go through Daniel chapter 3 and examine the Word of God and find that God is present in our faithfulness. We want to know how God is moving and working in your life. So we want to encourage you, follow the link below and engage with us. Let us know how life is going. We also want to give you an opportunity to give as an act of worship. You can follow that link below. Church, have a phenomenal week.